Okay, let's get this video. Let's get it. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanita, and on this channel I mostly talk about spirituality, law of attraction, personal development, how to grow, expand your consciousness, how to become the better version of you. So if you're into the self-help kind of section of the bookstore, then you will love this channel and you should totally subscribe. Before we get into the video, I want to talk about two things. The first one is I feel like I finally found a good place for me to film my videos. I mean, let me know what you guys think, but I think this background at this place is super cute. This vintage chair is, it's just gorgeous, right? So I think I finally found my place. I definitely think this background, this setup is better than all of my previous setups, so I hope you guys like it as well. The second thing that I want to talk about before we get into the video is happy holidays. I hope everyone is enjoying their time with their family. I hope you guys got to have some sort of vacation, some sort of a holiday, without having to work as much as you did during the year. And I hope you're ready for what 2019 has to offer, because I very much am. I have a lot of big things planned for this year. I'm manifesting the best life possible, and I really hope to take you on this journey with me. So yeah, I think this is all I wanted to say before today's video. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So today's topic is going to be a little bit different from every single other law of attraction video that I've done, because I'm not going to be teaching you any techniques. I'm not going to be letting you know like different ways of using the law of attraction and how to manifest better things into your life, but instead I'm going to share with you guys a tragic story of a spiritual guru whose life went downhill. This spiritual guru, this law of attraction teacher, was very, very successful. He was a multi-millionaire. He built his business off of self-help and the law of attraction specifically. He was a national best-selling author. Everything in his life was popping. So yeah, he was doing pretty well in life in terms of financial success and career success. Everything was going well for him. And that was until one of his spiritual retreats, one of the law of attraction events that he has organized, led to the death of 3 different individuals. This spiritual teacher was actually convicted of negligent homicide of 3 people and served 2 years in jail. So when I heard about this case, I was obviously absolutely shocked. We are in the community which believes that we are able to manifest physical things into our existence. We are responsible for our experience here on earth. We are conscious creators who take responsibility for what we create. So when I heard that one of the really, really dominant law of attraction gurus manifested this horrible tragedy into his life, of course it made me question things. So the more and more that I dug into this case, the more information that I learned, the more I understood that it's important to cover this case, not only because it's interesting from the law of attraction perspective, but also because it has an important lesson to teach all of us, the law of attraction fans, the law of attraction junkies. So that's why I'm covering this case, and without further ado, let's finally get into the details of what has happened. So the spiritual guru that I was referring to throughout the introduction to this video is James Arthur Ray. And if you're watching this video, you're probably like, I have no idea who she's talking about. But think again. James Arthur Ray was actually featured in the most basic, the most phenomenal law of attraction movie out there that's called The Secret.
Let's use this metaphor. If you think about Aladdin and his lamp, you've probably heard of that one. Aladdin picks up the lamp, he dusts it off, and out pops the genie. The genie always says one thing.
Your wish is my command.
The universe is this great genie, and your conscious mind is Aladdin. It formulates the intention of what you choose for your life. Whatever you put out there consistently, and you think, feel, and act upon, it's coming to you.
So yeah, this is not just some sort of an unknown guru, an unknown teacher. This guy is very well known. So after the movie The Secret came out in 2006, James Ray started doing even better than before, and I'm pretty sure before that he was already a multi-millionaire. But he started doing even better than before because he gained so much publicity from The Secret. He also went on the Today Show, on Oprah show. I mean, everything was just going super well for him. His book, The Science of Success, was continuously hitting different best-selling charts. I mean, he was doing great. His self-help business was growing. He gained a lot of publicity. Everything was going well. And that was until the tragic incident that happened at one of his spiritual retreats. So let me just tell you a little bit of information about the tragedy that is associated with James Ray. So this all took place a while ago in 2009. In October, in the very beginning of October, James Arthur Ray has one of his spiritual retreats, and this particular spiritual retreat is called Spiritual Warrior. Just under 60 people went on this retreat, and it took place in Sedona, Arizona. And you guys, this was not just some sort of a one-day kind of a 1-hour hangout with James Ray. This was a full-on retreat for like 7 or 5 days. I'm not quite sure. Different sources give different information, but this retreat was very, very expensive. Each person who went on this retreat spent just under $10,000 to be a part of it. So obviously this indicates that these people had a lot of faith in James. These people really saw him as a spiritual guru who knows what he's talking about, who's gonna change their lives, who's going to make their lives better. Unfortunately, this spiritual retreat ended in a tragedy, and the tragedy itself took place on the very last day of the retreat, on October 8th. But before I get into what happened on that night, I'd like to quickly summarize the conditions that the people who were participants of this retreat were living under. So when I first read about what James Ray asked of his participants, I was kind of shocked at like why would he ask them to do that. I read on several sources, and take this with a grain of salt because I don't know for sure whether this is like super reliable information, but several sources claim that James Ray asked his participants to shave their heads even before they went on the retreat. Even before these people went on the retreat, he asked them not to consume any food, not to drink any water, just to kind of cleanse their bodies of all of the energy that was stored in it. So even before the retreat, James Ray asked his participants to make these changes to their lives. But also during this retreat, the participants were not eating, they were not drinking. I don't know whether they had access to food and water, I'm sure they did, but they were very, very encouraged not to eat, not to drink, and meanwhile, they are living in Arizona in October. So the conditions are very, very bad. Like, it's very, very hot there. A lot of the activities that they participate in are outside, so they're constantly under the sun. I guess where I'm trying to go with this, I guess where I'm trying to lead you to is that night of a tragedy was not like an extraordinary strange night. It wasn't like the night when things just strangely went out of hand. Up until that very night, the condition of the participants' health was deteriorating. So it was kind of just all building up to that moment. It wasn't just a one-night thing. So what happened on the tragic night of October 8th? That day was the last day of the spiritual retreat, and on this day the participants were shedding kind of the last pieces of their old identity, and they were encouraged to participate in a sweat lodge ritual that took place kind of in a small room that's kind of like a sauna. There were a lot of blankets in that room, and they were exposed to extreme heat. And I mean, you guys, it was such heat that made people delusional about what was happening. Some participants were unconscious, other participants were conscious but delusional. They didn't understand what was going on. Other participants were lying on the ground, so weak they couldn't stand up. They were just begging someone to help them. They were saying that they don't want to die. That night, about 20 people were hospitalized, and unfortunately, 3 people died due to the exposure to this extreme heat. Names of the 3 people were Kirby Brown, 38, James Shore, 40, and Liz Newman, 49. In May 2011, James Ray started his trial, and in June 2011, he was found guilty of 3 counts of negligent homicide and not guilty of manslaughter, which is the charge that was originally brought up to him by the state. So what that means is that originally the state tried to convict James of manslaughter, which is a bigger sentence, is a worse offense than negligent homicide. but the jury has found that he is not guilty of manslaughter and instead found him guilty of negligent homicide. In November 2011, Ray was sentenced for 2 years in prison, and I believe he served his entire sentence and he got out in 2013. Ever since he got out, James Ray pretty much immediately started to try to re-establish his authority in the self-help business. He tried to just kind of get back onto his feet, and I don't know how well he's doing right now. I'm not quite sure what's happening with his business right now. Obviously, it's not as successful as it was before. I really don't want to make this entire video just about James Ray, so if you're interested in how he's doing right now, I suggest just looking it up. It's all over the internet right now. I'm sure you can find some information. There's also a documentary on Netflix that's called Enlighten Us, and it's specifically about James Ray, his rise to success, his fall, and what he's doing now. So if you're interested in him as a person, I guess you can watch that movie. But I personally chose not to watch that movie because, as far as I understand, it's very biased. It's just from his perspective and what he has experienced. I don't think they have interviewed even one person who was at that retreat. So I mean, I just wanted to have a more kind of comprehensive and more distant look at the situation than to try to understand it from his perspective, if that makes sense. My dog is so loud. Yeah, where I was trying to go with this entire story of James Ray, of his rise and his fall, and of this tragic incident, I just want to talk to you guys about why do I think this happened. Why do I think this happened to a person who was extremely successful in this law of attraction business? Like, I just want to kind of elaborate my guesses about the situation. I still stand by consciously trying to manifest our reality. So when I try to explain the situation, the only answer that comes to me, and let me know down in the comments what you guys think, because I'm very interested in knowing, but I think that James Ray just didn't walk his talk. I think James Ray was a good entrepreneur. He knew how to convince people of buying his product, of being on his team, of believing in everything that he said. But I also think that he didn't necessarily live his philosophy. I talked about it on the channel before, but there's something that's called premature enlightenment that happens to people who intellectually understand the truth of certain things. So they could intellectually understand how the law of attraction works, yet they are still unable to experience that law, to experience how it works in real life. So I think this could be one of the examples of premature enlightenment. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me. Obviously, I hope that he believes in what he preaches. I really hope that even though that he was not able to manifest the best experiences for himself, that he truly stands by the law of attraction. I really hope that, he's not just scamming people and teaching them something that he thinks is sellable, that he doesn't really believe in. But of course, this could also be the case. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I know a lot of people who think that he's an absolute scammer, and honestly, there is a lot of reasons to think so. I really didn't know much about James Ray before I got into this whole research, except for the fact that he was in the movie The Secret, right? And I just wanted to know, how did he handle this whole situation? Like, what did he say to his followers, to the people who had so much faith in him? What did he say to them after this happened? Like, what was his apology like? I read his interview that he gave after this entire tragedy, and it was for New York Magazine. I'm going to link it down below. I suggest you take a look at it because it's very informational about the kind of a person that he is. And I think this is an interview that kind of convinced a lot of people that he is a scammer, because quite frankly, there's nothing authentic, nothing real about this interview. What really struck me as odd about this interview is just a couple of questions. One of them being, did James Ray, the citizen, create a crime in Sedona? And did James Ray, the man, do something wrong, however you choose to define that, irresponsible, immoral, unethical, or careless? James Ray doesn't answer this question. His lawyer intervenes. I think you have to rely on the white paper for that. The white paper asserts that Ray did not commit criminally negligent conduct. Then the interviewer asks this question: is there anything at all, either on the day or since, that you wish you had done differently? And once again, James Ray does not answer this question. His lawyer intervenes and he says that this is another thing that should be referred to the white paper. I definitely 100% think that it's weird that he didn't answer those questions. I do understand that a lot of the times the interviewer purposely tries to make you say something dumb and then use it against you, and I think a lot of the times that's why the lawyers are very strict about like answering only the questions that the lawyer kind of says that are good to go. But I think as a person who is a spiritual guru, as a person who is a personal coach who kind of teaches people to take responsibility for their lives, and this is what the law of attraction is all about, right? Law of attraction is all about claiming responsibility for your life. Law of attraction is all about claiming responsibility for the kind of reality that you're living, right? And when he was asked this question, like, do you wish you've done anything differently? Do you think that you've committed any sort of a crime? Why wouldn't you use this opportunity and apologize? Why wouldn't you use this opportunity and admit that, hey, I wasn't living my truth, I was negligent, I didn't have the appropriate medical stuff on the site? I don't understand why he didn't do that. Another thing that the interviewer confronted James Ray about is the law of attraction. Like, she asked him, if you are preaching the law of attraction, then how did you manifest this? Her exact words were, a basic principle of your teaching is that the universe is at your command. You speak of the power of intention. I wonder how you perceive this tragedy in Sedona in the light of those teachings. Did you in some way cause this to happen? Here James Ray answers, well, I don't. And he kind of just goes off topic. Like, he never really says how he manifested this thing. And I feel like if you're a spiritual guru, if you are a personal coach, if you're a public speaker who motivates people, like, you need to claim responsibility for what has happened. You need to explain to people what was on your mind, how you manifested this, because by curving all these questions, you're not helping your business or your situation in any way. So yeah, I really didn't want to focus on James Ray so much, but it just kind of happened to be this way because I mean, it's just interesting, you know. I think it's interesting to anyone in the law of attraction community. But the more important part of my video was meant to be this. You guys, I really hope that you use this tragic story as a lesson. I know that when you're in the spiritual community, I know that when you get into the law of attraction, it's exciting, and it's exciting to find people who represent your beliefs. It's exciting to find people like Abraham Hicks, like Wayne Dyer, like even people here on YouTube like Aaron Doughty or Leo Alexandra or Wake Up Fulfill It. I forget his name, I'm so sorry. But always make sure that you keep your own head on your shoulders. Make sure that no matter what your spiritual teacher tells you, you still make your conscious decisions. Unfortunately, in the case of Sedona tragedy, these people just had so much faith in James Ray that they were following all of his instructions. Obviously, they thought that as a spiritual guru, as a teacher, that he knows best. Obviously, they thought that maybe their instincts were lying to them. But the thing is, your instincts are your direct communication to God. No teacher in this universe, no one can teach you the things that your inner self can teach you, because this comes from experience. This is a direct communication with God, and when someone teaches you, it's kind of a third-party communication with God. Just make sure that whether you're part of some program online, whether you're doing something with a personal coach, whether you're going on some sort of a retreat, just make sure that you always make your conscious decisions yourself. Don't just mindlessly follow someone, because this is what spirituality is about. Spirituality is different from religion, because religion is you following someone else's experience of God. Spirituality is you experiencing God directly. So always remember this. Never mindlessly follow someone. Never tell yourself not to question someone. Never tell yourself that they know better, because the chances you're human, they're human, you both have the same kind of access to God, to spirituality. You both can do the same things, and of course you can be inspired by them. But the thing is, if something feels wrong, the chances it's your intuition telling you that it's wrong. So yeah, I just really wanted to say that. I just really wanted to warn you guys to be careful, to always listen to yourself first and then to your teacher, because the chances, you never know whether they're walking what they're preaching. You never know whether they're walking their talk. This is pretty much it for today. Let me know down in the comments what are your opinions on this whole James Ray situation. Let me know down in the comments if you have ever experienced a bad spiritual teacher, whether something that you participated in was a scam. I think that would be interesting for everyone to read. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, Happy New Year. Let's get it. Let's be excited. Let's be happy this year. Namaste.